Despite coming away with a victory in week 1, I think the offense left some things to be desired, and so we're making some changes ahead of our Sunday night matchup against the Bengals, a team we went 0-3 against last year, including a playoff loss. So as we seek revenge today, I have moved our second-year receiver, Driver, into both the wide receiver 1 and the slot receiver slots, hoping that he can be more involved in the offense. And I've also made some formation subs to get Anthony Davidson, our rookie running back with 94 speed, on the field more. He only had 2 rush attempts and wasn't heavily involved in the passing game. I think for our offense to be as good as it can be, those 2 players need to be heavily involved, and we'll see if those changes made any impact here as we take on the Bengals. As we jump into our first action of the day, it is worth noting that Ernie McFerrin was injured in the week of practice, and so we'll see some Jerome Ford as one of the backs in our 2-back system here today. Jerry Jeudy picking up the first on that play. We bring a tight end into the backfield for this first down play. Richardson decides to throw it away. Don't mind that there. Probably could have hit the tight end on the check down, but it wouldn't have gained all that much. So far to get down the field, it's been McDougal, the tight end, and Adonai Mitchell. And still Matt Driver remains without a target here on this drive, although, of course, we're still very early in on the ball game. A 3rd and 7 from the 24.5-yard line. Can we keep the drive alive? Richardson has a clean pocket, decides to step up through the middle. He has plenty of space, and he slides down at the 11. A pickup of 14 on the ground. We've got a bunch formation here on the left side for 1st and 10. We technically can get a first down. It would be very difficult to do so. Nearly intercepted, trying to hit the check down. That is Anthony Davidson checked into the game, wearing the number 4. Still flanking Richardson in the backfield here. Richardson could not find anything he liked downfield, so we'll take the Hendrickson sack. Always difficult to score in the red zone here. Looks like we're setting up a screen for a Driver. That's his first catch of the day, and a beautiful block springs him into the end zone. What a block there on the screen. Driver's first reception of the day goes for his first touchdown here on the new season. Who was that? I mean, Jerry Jeudy, what a block. You'd love to see it. McDougal with the key block as well on that play. 50-yard T. Higgins touchdown on 3rd down. Ties this game up at 7 apiece. The offense driving once more, looking a lot crisper here in week 2. Jerome Ford on the carry here. Some good blocking. We'll pick up 6. That's his fourth tote of the day. 22 rushing yards on the board. Down to the 30. Richardson gets Jerry Jeudy open on the stop route. That should be the last play of the first quarter here, and it will be 7-all heading into the second. But the Cleveland Browns offense knocking on the door for some more points here. I mean, this is a great early primetime matchup, of course. These teams met in the playoffs last year, and the Bengals were really, more than maybe any other team, the Ravens were also really difficult for us. This team was our kryptonite. We didn't lose that many games, but 3 of them all being to the Bengals was a storyline to watch here, and we get an early preview of if anything has changed. 2nd and 5. Davidson, that's our first look at a carry from him actually watching. And he gets a nice gain there, picking up a first down. Things getting feisty with the rookie. He knows the importance of these division matchups. From the 11, Jerome Ford. Ooh, looked for a second like he had a big hole, but it closed there right at the last second. Browns change Running backs here. Davidson checks back in. Richardson, the back of the end zone, and just unable to get the completion there to A.D. Mitchell. The play was there to be had. You had to throw it right away. And holding on is Jerry Jeudy for the Browns touchdown. Boy, is this offense looking so much better early here than it was in week one. We didn't get a touchdown until midway through the fourth quarter of game one. We've got our first 2 touchdowns on our first 2 drives here. Interception by Cam Taylor-Britt, second of the year so far for Donnie Richardson. Now has 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the season. Let's see what the defense can do to potentially hold the Bengals from scoring here. Play action here. Jonathan Brooks flanking Burrow in the backfield. That could have maybe been an interception by Denzel Ward. Decides to play it safe with the PBU instead. Daniel Gibson there lined up inside, of course, had a 4.5 sack game in week one, earning him AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors. And touchdown to Morgan Quick. He beat Quandre Diggs in coverage here. I'm not sure what formation brings Quandre Diggs onto the field, but he certainly at his age is no longer really fast enough to hang in man coverage, and it shows up there for the touchdown. Down to 90 seconds here left in the half. Cleveland has a chance to take the lead. And there's a first down completion to McDougal. Tight end. He's getting a lot of action here. So it's exciting to see that this playbook heavily involves the tight end. We, of course, are awaiting the return of Njoku, who is one of the best tight ends in football. That was a well-timed blitz by the Bengals. And Overshown, who almost came to Cleveland, decided not to try and sign him. He was the one there to get the sack. We'll take a timeout here with a minute left on the clock. That touchdown reception is still the lone reception for Matt Driver in this half. And that's hauled in by Jerry Jeudy. It'll make it a more respectable 3rd and 9. Cleveland calls timeout to save time once more. 3rd and 9. Richardson has time, trying to evade in the backfield, and instead takes a sack all the way back to the 40. You can't take a sack right there, Richardson. If it's not there, throw it away, do something. But now we're forced to punt when we had a guaranteed 3 points on the board. The Bengals are driving here on their first possession of the third quarter. Morgan Quick has made a couple of big-time receptions here on the drive. Nearly a sack there by Mike Hall, who's been probably one of the biggest surprises for me in this series. I thought his strength would be too low for him to make an impact, but he's just been a really good pass rusher for us here. Nearly getting the sack there. Pitch, and Myles Garrett blows it up for a big-time loss. 4 will be the loss. Keaton Mitchell. They're getting blown up. Now a 3rd and long. We've given up a ton of these, though. This is no gimme. Burrow in the pocket, getting swallowed whole. The entire Cleveland Browns defensive line seems like they won that rep, but Owe was the first to get there. We knock him out of field goal range. So at least we get payback for missing out on the field goal there at the end of the half by taking 3 points off the board ourselves defensively. A clutch 3rd and 12 reception by Matt Driver puts us in Bengals territory here, where Anthony Davidson will get the carry. Gain of 8 here. I mean, he can get through the hole in a hurry. He got slowed up there by an almost tackle, but this play, I don't know if that was a read option, but if it was, Richardson definitely should have kept it, because the pullers are going in the direction of where Richardson could take it. Now leaves Anthony Davidson in a tough spot, although I don't know if the quarterback keep is actually an option on that play. Can't say I'm super familiar with the Colts playbook here in Madden. So it'll be 3rd and 4. We'll go to the pass. Richardson takes the check down to Ford, who breaks a tackle, and that'll be enough to move the sticks. From the 26, under center, play action. Towards the flat, it's McDougald, who had a massive week in week 1, and he's had another massive one here. Been a very reliable tight end for us in the absence of Njoku. And on the sit route, Anthony Davidson, unable to haul it in, and he's getting shoved to the ground after the play. A little chippy. 3rd and 2. I think the ground game is an option here. And they will go to it, and they'll get stuffed. Great play on the interior there to beat our offensive line. And that will force a bit of a chip shot field goal here for Dustin Hopkins, but it is for the lead, and it is up and in. We're now getting to crunch time here in a tied 17-17 ball game. 4 minutes left in the 4th. Screenplay, and Burrow just able to get it off. Looked for a second like it might have been an explosive play, but the Browns able to rally and tackle after a gain of 7. Cincinnati taking their time, hoping that this can be the final possession of the game. They'll find Morgan Quick, who's been their leading receiver today. He will move the chains. Under 3 minutes now. Burrow finds T. Higgins for a gain of 6. Tackled on the play by Martin Emerson. This will be the last play prior to the 2-minute warning. Secchi in motion. Burrow finds T. Higgins again. And the Bengals will have it inside the 20. 2 minutes remain. Now the Cleveland Browns probably going to be forced to use their timeouts to try and get the ball back. Jonathan Brooks on the carry. He gets stopped up for nothing. Good start there. No timeout used here. This one goes for another no gain, and now Cleveland will use their timeouts. I like preserving one timeout for the offensive side in exchange for roughly like 30 seconds, because Cleveland 35 seconds. Cincinnati didn't waste the entire clock there, but you need to get a stop on 3rd and 10, and we will. Cincinnati gained 8, but they will be forced to kick up a field goal. Cleveland will have 1:19 and a timeout to try and force overtime, or perhaps even go for the win. Oh boy. We've got a good one here on Sunday Night Football Week 2. On the kickoff return, that'll be Jerome Ford getting it to the 24. So, Donald Richardson. I praised the offense. Their first 2 drives were touchdowns, and I guess I shouldn't have said anything because they haven't scored a touchdown since the early 2nd quarter. It's been 1 field goal in the 2+ quarters since. The Bengals are coming out pressing. For the out routes, going for McDougald, but Cincinnati was all over that. Now an empty backfield. Richardson, clean pocket, will step up and run. He's got a big gain to the 45. 12-second runoff here. We'll hike it at 45. Underneath, he's got Anthony Davidson. We'll use our last timeout. That is extremely risky. We need at least 10 yards probably. We'll get a nice gain to Adonai Mitchell here. 36. I mean, at this point, we're talking about what we probably have enough yards here. It'd be a tough field goal, 53 yards or so from this spot, but doable. Richardson going deep, and I like that decision. You had single coverage, you had Jerry Jeudy, but now it's 3rd and 3. Even with Madden's crazy runoffs, I think you have time to bring the field goal unit onto the field after this. But they don't. They keep the offense out. You have to get out of bounds here. And they won't. You just don't catch that ball, dude. Madden's terrible clock strikes again. Why do you even run an offensive play there? Why do you even run a play there, man? Why is it so difficult for Madden to figure this out? It's truly disgusting. You throw a quick throw into the flat for what reason exactly? What does that actually accomplish? Absolutely nothing. Bring the field goal unit onto the field, man. Ends up being a pretty solid game for Donald Richardson. 2 touchdowns and a pick, 250 yards on 70% completion. I mean, Joe Burrow, we allowed him to go 22 for 26. Nobody did that well on the ground. Nobody got that many carries. I mean, Donald Richardson ends up being our leading rusher. Davidson got a lot more in the way of carries. It was pretty well split. So I think the formation subs helped out in that area. McDougal led us in receiving again. Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he was in the number 2 receiver spot, but he went to the number 1 when Driver was in the slot. So, I mean, both of these games, both Mitchell and Jeudy have gotten more production than Driver. I don't know what to do. Maybe take him out of the slot so that he's always in the number 1 slot, because it looks like maybe this playbook just gives the number 1 slot a lot. So maybe we put Jerry Jeudy in the slot instead, have him just be the number 1 next game. I think we can try that. I like the idea of Driver in the slot because I think he can do some nice things in terms of after the catch stuff. Got a decent amount of TFLs here. 2 sacks for Mike Hall, another one for Gibson and Owe. Surprisingly enough, it was Myles Garrett, the only one who didn't get involved sacks-wise in this game. No picks for the defense, a couple of deflections, no forced fumbles. We fall to the Bengals again. The Browns are back in primetime for week 3. I know we focused on the division a lot last year, but you're playing primetime games against division teams. I feel like you got to at least play some of those. And it looks like we have Michael McDougal here with a breakout scenario. I don't know what these other new goals are. 100 yards could be something we could go for. But if there's one for catches, I think 3 catches and 70. Oh, this is really easy. Let's go 6 catches and 50 plus receiving yards. I think this is the last week we will be without David Njoku, but we could get star dev for our tight end too ahead of Njoku's return, which would be really quite nice. Ahead of the Ravens matchup, I know I usually save these for the end, but I want all the boosts we can get ahead of this important division game here early. I'm going to go run stopper again for Gibson here. He's going to get +2 block shed and a power move, so we'll take that for sure. Wanted to get block shedding in a decent spot now that he's a full-time TT, and it's looking pretty good now. Getting boosted up to an 83 at this point. I think the next thing is let's get those power moves into the 90s. I think that could be really fun here for Gibson in his 3rd season now. Donald Richardson. I would love to have Scheme Fit here, but I think Scrambler, I want him to keep playing like a Scrambler. So we'll go with the Scrambler upgrade here. Throw on the run, throw short, throw medium. At the same time, I really want to be boosting his deep accuracy here, which is by far his least. Maybe probably going to focus on Improviser going forward, because I know that upgrades Scrambler pretty well, but also has a better chance at deep accuracy. Ben Folds. Let's go pass coverage here. Hoping to get him up to 80 overall still, but we don't, unfortunately. Because I know you get an extra ability slot at 80 overall, but we'll have to wait an extra 4,900 XP to get that. Tony Stevenson, super athletic guard for us. Always want my offensive lineman to be well balanced, and he's looking pretty well balanced at this point here. Get him up to 80 overall with the next upgrade. A.D. Mitchell been pretty productive for us so far this season. Now that he's not really going to be playing in the slot this season, I think we can continue to focus on him as a deep threat. There you go there. Running's still not in a very good spot for A.D. Mitchell, but we know the impact he makes just with his athleticism. McDougald here will get a vertical threat upgrade, and hopefully we get another upgrade once he completes a breakout scenario. Of course, no guarantee he does that, but I'm certainly hopeful. So I guess the theme of this episode is going to be whether or not we've been able to overcome the struggles of last season, as we've got early primetime matchups against both of our division rivals. We get an early 3-and-out here forced, unless they go for it, which they won't. But the answer was no against the Bengals, but can we actually beat the Ravens? I guess we'll have to tune in and find out. Cleveland into scoring territory on their first possession. Richardson going downfield, had a man, but A.D. Mitchell could not hold on. That was a really good throw. To Richardson's credit there. Gave his man a chance. 2nd and 10. Back to pass again. A deep drop and tries to scramble, but he was so deep on his drop that he loses 4 on a sack. Ravens blitzing on 3rd down is picked up for the moment. Richardson to scramble. He's got tons of space. Down the sideline and sliding inside the 20 for a first down. Excellent blitz pickup there by both the running back and the offensive line to get him open. As I stated after week 2, I put Matt Driver into just the wide receiver 1 spot and not the slot. Jerry Jeudy will be playing the slot position for this game. And of course, we have Ernie McFerrin back, which is nice. Play action. Over the middle, A.D. Mitchell on the reception, down to the 3. We've seen a lot of A.D. Mitchell targets. He was also targeted on the way to the 40-yard line here for a big reception on this drive. It looks like we have a tackle playing tight ends here. Don't know what that's all about. I think I probably should have signed another tackle. I usually like to keep 4, but maybe this year I just had 3. But this is the last week it'll be relevant until Njoku comes back anyway, so it's a little too late for me. 2nd and goal from the 3. The give to McFerrin. He'll get caught from behind. A little bit of hesitation there. Gave the defender time to catch up, so now it's 3rd and goal. Two receivers in the game, both on the right side of the formation. Right back to McFerrin, and he gets crunched. It was a one-on-one. Roquan Smith versus Ernie McFerrin, and Roquan got the better of him there. He just had to fall forward, but Roquan Smith is one of the best to do it at the middle linebacker spots. Fourth time's the charm, and it is. On 4th and 1, Cleveland goes for it and finds the end zone with an Ernie McFerrin rushing touchdown. Nice to have him back for this week. Might have taken him a few attempts to get there, but he got there eventually. As we come towards the close of the first quarter, Baltimore looking to put their first points on the board here. They have it at the 37 for 1st and 10. Play clock winding down. They do get it off. The give is to Charbonnet, the new running back here in Baltimore. No more Derrick Henry as the starter for the Ravens. Although moving from Derrick Henry to Zach Charbonnet is probably a pretty good scenario for the Ravens. Obviously, Charbonnet isn't Derrick Henry, but he's shown some explosiveness in real life here with this past season in Seattle. Heading into the second quarter now. Ravens will have a 2nd and 12. Faking the give to Charbonnet. It's Lamar Jackson who gets popped on the play by JOK. No gain on that one. Browns had that read option covered to perfection, so it's 3rd and long. Lamar, he's going down. It'll be Myles Garrett the first to get there. They'll give a half sack to Oweh as well. But make no mistake, that was all Myles Garrett. It's pretty much been all A.D. Mitchell in the pass game here so far for Cleveland. Richardson finally targets Matt Driver underneath, but is broken up by Roquan Smith. I think if he had waited another second to allow Driver to clear Smith, it could have been a good play. Play action on 2nd down. Richardson goes to Driver again. This time they will find a connection for 8. Now 3rd and 2. Davidson in the backfield. And Jerry Jeudy open on the sit routes to move the chains. There are certainly a lot of these stop routes in the Colts playbook. The give to McFerrin. He's wrapped up. Roquan Smith having a really good game for Baltimore. No surprise there. Keep going to these 3 tight end sets, and I keep seeing a tackle out there, and it's driving me a little nuts. Solid gain by McFerrin. 6 yards on 2 totes to bring up 3rd and 4. And he's got Adonai Mitchell on the in-cutting routes. Mitchell continues his stellar Week 3 game here. Been by far our leading receiver on the outing. And now he adds a score. Baltimore looking to put some points on the board prior to halftime here. Cleveland's defense has been stellar so far this game, but they're going to allow a big-time run to Zach Charbonnet on this one. Martin Emerson able to bring him down, but not after he had already moved the chains. To the 31 now, well within field goal range. Man in motion. They'll fake the touch pass. Lamar got some pressure by Garrett, and he's forced to just check it down for no gain. Second and 10. Give on the outside to Charbonnet. He spins past the Denzel Ward tackle and picks up 5. Makes it a much more manageable 3rd down here for the Ravens. Lamar has time, has a man over the middle, and folds. Weird angle on the tackle. 2-minute warning as the Ravens now have it at the 11-yard line. Their best drive they've put together so far this game. Bateman Crosses the formation. Fake the give to Charbonnet. Lamar now gives it to him in the flat, and forcing a fumble is J.O.K. Brian Branch picks it up. He could go all the way, but when you got Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, he's probably going to chase you down. But there you see Brian Branch, our offseason acquisition, getting involved. But of course, the play was caused by this massive hit by Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. He is up for a contract this season. And making plays like that, you just have to be very motivated to bring him back. So the offense, after the turnover, will start with excellent field position. Let's see what they can do with it here. Richardson finds Jerry Jeudy, 4-9. Good gain to start the drive. It's been a lot of sit routes, but Donald Richardson seems to do well with these sit routes, so if it's working, I ain't complaining. Jerry Jeudy, again, over the middle. I mean, I swear Donald Richardson's throwing it to anybody other than Matt Driver at this point. I've put them all across the rotation at wide receivers, and every single game he's the one that's getting targeted the least. I just don't think Richardson and Driver are on the same page right now or something. Here we get McDougald. He's been very involved, but not so much here in the first half. I think that's only like his first or second reception. When he's been 10 receptions and 9 receptions in the first 2 weeks. 1st and 10. Back to A.D. Mitchell, his 6th catch already. Cleveland will burn their second timeout. Let's see if how bad we use timeouts here this time around. Richardson to Driver for the score. Turns out the timeouts just won't matter as Matt Driver into the end zone for the second straight week. Another sit-down route, but hey, or at least it looked like it was going to be a sit-down route. He's still kind of on the move. It's working out for the offense so far. Interception. After a 3-and-out by the Browns offense, they come out on the first Baltimore play of the game. We get a of the half, excuse me. We get a Greg Newsome interception. And so we have an instant 1st and goal from the 3, already 2 picks on the year for Newsome. And Matt Driver, another touchdown. So he may not be getting the volume that I want for him, but 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. Looking good. For Driver, 28 points on the board by the Cleveland Browns. Is our best on the season so far. Offense looking better than ever. The Ravens still just 3 points on the board. Looking to get into the end zone for the first time. Cleveland has been in control of this ball game, and nice play there by Baltimore. Have the defensive line going all in on the running back. And Lamar's able to pick up 7. There you see Sheldon Edens. Not going to get a ton of playing time. He'll be our base package only middle linebacker. It's a really good linebacker prospect, but when you have J.O.K. and Ben Folds, you're just going to not be able to get onto the field all the time. If Ben Folds wasn't a superstar dev, I probably would at least consider playing Sheldon Edens over him. And who knows, Sheldon Edens could also be superstar dev. He's certainly more athletic, but Ben Folds played really well last season, and I think earned playing time over Edens this year. What a catch there by Tylan Wallace, I think. Well, that's Traylon Burks, based on what the announcer said. I know Tylan Wallace has worn 16 for Baltimore. They give to Charbonnet. A bunch of traffic there, and speaking of Sheldon Edens, there he is making the tackle. Two tight ends in the formation for Baltimore. Bateman in motion. They'll fake the touch pass and give it to him in the flat for a minimal gain. Pass rush was on top of Lamar Jackson once again. Mike Hall. He's followed up a great season last year with a great start to this season. And intercepted. Kalen Bullock will take a knee. The second time we have picked off Lamar Jackson in this game. And the defense continues to keep Baltimore out of the end zone here on Monday Night Football. That was a Donald Richardson type of read right there by Lamar. 11 and a half minutes remain in the ball game. Baltimore trying to get their first touchdown again here. Got themselves a nice drive here to start the fourth quarter. And that's a QB sneak. And Lamar Jackson got absolutely popped by Ben Folds. Jeez, what a hit. When you're going to run a quarterback like that, you know the defense wants to lay a nice hit on the signal caller, and Ben Folds did a good job of it there. Nice job by Daniel Gibson to slow down the runner while being blocked. That allowed the rest of the defense to come in and rally. So it's 3rd and 4. I imagine Baltimore probably goes for it here on 4th down, so 2 down territory. Lamar finds a man, and Traylon Burks will haul it in for the touchdown. Baltimore does eventually get into the end zone, but still, no doubt, been an excellent defensive performance here by Cleveland. While this game is mostly over, I guess it's not technically over yet. Baltimore has a chance, but they need to score a touchdown here. Mike Hall, great pass rush move, and it's picked off by Brian Branch. That is going to officially end this game now. Branch with his first interception as a Cleveland Brown. Also had, of course, a fumble recovery earlier in this game, too. And ultimately, this game was kind of the opposite of last year's Browns. We were able to dominate because we won the turnover battle. No interceptions in this game for Donald Richardson. Now, watch, he's going to throw one here in garbage time just because I said that. But the defense able to force 3 turnovers. The offense not turning the ball over. Ultimately, was a massive difference maker, and we get a win over to the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe we're a little bit more prepared for the division than we were last year. 28-10 is your final. In week 3, perhaps the hometown crowd making the difference this time around. But back-to-back division primetime games here to start the season for Cleveland. After a tough, close loss last week, we come back with a dominant performance here in week 3. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the breakout scenario for McDougald, but that was literally maybe the only thing that went wrong for us this game. Richardson in this game, 17-24, only 162 yards, sure, but 3 touchdowns, no picks. That is not something we were seeing last year, in games that we were watching at least. McFerrin wasn't very efficient. Davidson only 2 carries again, but I think I'm not as worried about it this week as I was last week. Or sorry, in week 1. 7 for 77 for Mitchell. I mean, Driver has not surpassed 35 yards in the game this year. I don't know what to do with him at this point. It's clear that Richardson just has a better connection with Mitchell right now on the year. He did catch 2 touchdowns, though. The yards-wise, very, very slow start to the season for Matt Driver. We got a sack from Mike Hall and Daniel Gibson. Our interior pass rushes continue to be great. And then half sacks for both Owe and Garrett, although we all know that it was really Myles Garrett there. Bullock, Branch, and Newsome each get an interception, and JOK had the forced fumble that was recovered by Brian Branch. So maybe it was those Baltimore linebackers, but we finally got a game where the tight end wasn't just getting force-fed the ball. Again, not that I mind high usage of tight ends, but so we were used to seeing the first 2 weeks, just didn't get it. So no breakout scenario, no star development for McDougald. Again, that's literally the only thing that you can point at as something that wasn't a positive from this game. Maybe the run game as well. McFerrin, 2.2 yards per carry wasn't great, but now we've got a defensive back breakout and some other scenarios here in week 4. Before we do any of that, though, I want to give a look at what our re-sign situation is this year, and there are some big-time players up for contracts. And as of right now, the 2 players we acquired at the trade deadline, they don't have any interest in joining us. Now, I acquired them because I knew we had a chance at getting them back, so we need to increase our career win percentage. And then Kalen Bullock will have a lot of interest in re-signing with us. But at this point, Stefanski's been in the league for a long time, so it's harder to change his win percentage. The bigger the sample size, the less impact a win and a loss has on your winning percentage. So that's probably not something that's going to go up until the end of the year. So he's not going to gain, 9 overall this year. So Bullock, we might not be able to re-sign. A.D. Mitchell, on the other hand, let's see. He's also probably depends on career win percentage. So I was hoping we could maybe have that better. If not, we're gonna likely lose both of these players, which will put wide receiver and safety on the needs block for us. JOK has no interest in re-signing. He's high enough overall that we can do it anyway, but I would love to get it up if we can. And if Donald Richardson by the end of the year can have the franchise quarterback tag, he will literally have max. It'll go from minimum to maximum, all because of one thing. I think having zero interest at all because you don't fit their top need is not great. When if you do fit their top need, all you're guaranteed is orange. I feel like if you fit their next 2 needs but not their top, you should at least be like where A.D. Mitchell is at like a minimum, instead of literally no interest at all. So I feel like I'm saying the word literally a lot in this episode, so I'll try to stop. Denzel Ward has a lot of interest in us. 30 years old, but he's still very much someone that is a good defender. Probably don't want to go too long-term years-wise. Then Mike Hall, how can you not re-sign this guy? He's been so productive for us for the last 2 seasons. Mike Hall, he wants only a 2-year deal. I'd like to extend it to 3. 3 years, 48. That sounds pretty good to me. Let's do that. Offer's perfect. Now Denzel Ward. Now for him, I'm probably looking at like a 2-year deal. We have a lot of cap space right now while we have Richardson on a rookie contract. So I'm trying to create contracts that will kind of be encompassed by that rookie contract, because once we have to start thinking about paying a quarterback, that's when you have to start being a little bit more picky about who you are paying and who you are not paying. But until then, we got the money to pretty much pay anybody. And with that in mind, we got Jerry Jeudy here. Is there anything we can do to increase his? Once again, that's kind of if we can get Donald Richardson up. So for him, I'm going to wait because I think there is a chance that by the end of the year, Donald Richardson will have the franchise quarterback tag, which will make it much, much easier to sign both JOK and Jerry Jeudy should we desire. And if there's a good chance we're going to lose A.D. Mitchell, I don't want to lose both Jeudy and Mitchell in the same offseason. I'm fine with replacing a receiver with somebody that we draft this year, but replacing 2 of our top 3 receivers, I feel like could be pretty tough for us. Wyatt Teller, another player, I don't know why he's all the way down here, but he's somebody we should be thinking about. I think drafting a guard could make some sense for us, saving some money, but at the same time, he has a lot of interest, and this is probably just a 1-year deal. And I think at least next year, he's still going to be pretty good. So we could wait to see what that regression looks like. I think we'll wait for now. I might sign him at some point this season, but I don't feel the need to do it right this second. So that's our first wave, getting Denzel Ward and Mike Hall on to the team for a couple more seasons. And we'll have to see kind of what these next 5, if you include Wyatt Teller. We'll just kind of have to wait and see on those ones. Let's go ahead and look at this defensive back breakout here. Is this for Brian Branch to go to X Factor? He had a pick and a fumble recovery last game. It could also be for Bullock here. Pulled you in because you had a good last game. I think this is Bullock here. I think you're a good player, but I think you can be special. And here we go. Kalen Bullock has a chance at superstar development. That would make it even more important to re-sign him. 2+ combined TFL, forced fumble, pass deflections, or sacks. And picks are not. How are picks not in this? Man, Madden. What? How are picks not a thing here? How was a sack in for a safety, but not an interception? Crazy stuff. It would not be a very pretty game here in week 4. A 24-10 loss to the Los Angeles Rams. Donald Richardson, his first multi-interception performance of the season. On the ground game, we got 13 for just 32 for McFerrin, and Davidson just 3 carries. Receiving wise, we got David Njoku back, and he led us here. Matt Driver adds another touchdown, so he's been racking up the touchdowns. And this was also his season high in yards. So I decided to see what he did in the simulation. I think we go back to putting him in the slot. I think wide receiver 1 in the slot is probably the best because Jerry Jeudy was in the slot here. And so I think putting him in the slot will at least help him in simulation rack up some yards. But the Browns fall to 2-2 here after this defeat. And we get to reply here for the DB breakout. I forgot to actually look at the defensive stats, so I actually don't know if he got it. Why are we in a press conference for this reply? We were talking to him personally. The coach, the defense had some success. How much did Kalen Bullock play a role in that? Am I supposed to have an answer prepared? Good, because I didn't actually have anything. I didn't know the stats or anything. So he earns 2,500 XP. It looks like he doesn't get his breakout, but he still gets some type of reward. We do have a new injury from that game, and it was Kalen Bullock. Safety was probably our thinnest position. If you remember, we only have Quandre Diggs and a couple of late picks who were not very good behind Bullock and Branch. So for the next 3 weeks, that free safety spot is going to be something that can very easily be picked on. And it's another primetime opponent in a primetime game. The Chiefs this time looking for revenge. And I think we save that till next episode. So we'll finish off this one with some upgrades here. We got a pretty good batch of players. We'll go Matt Gleason here first. I don't think he's ever really going to get scheme fit, but we'll keep trying. 2 acceleration and 3 pass block and 3 run block. Jeez. What in the heck? That was a great upgrade for Matt Gleason. My goodness. Lance Linton. I think he's good enough of a run blocker. He's not great, but I want to try to get him up to 85 if we can as soon as possible. Still just 23 years old. I want to get him that extra ability slot. So that's kind of my reasoning there. Bullock just got injured, but he did get a nice little XP bump. I'll keep his scheme fit here. I like to go hybrid, but I like even more when I have a good scheme fit to get that bonus XP. Eventually, if I get enough staff points, scheme fit won't matter as much because we can get scheme fit XP no matter if somebody's a scheme fit or not, but I don't quite have that yet. So until then, I want to keep that in mind. That when it makes sense to keep a scheme fit, that we keep it. Sean Snell. Solid backup quarterback for us. Keep him getting better and better. To a 74, which is really solid for a backup quarterback at this rate. And that's going to end off this episode. 2-2 to start the year. We did lose another one to the Bengals, but we beat the Ravens and had one of Donnie Richardson's best performances in a game that we've watched in quite some time. Just avoiding the negative plays. We're going to need that against KC in their home territory in a primetime game. We beat them last year in the playoffs, but they might be seeking some revenge. That episode will be coming out soon, and until then, go Browns.